How's it going, peeps? Welcome back to Viva La Coin. I am Joe. I will be your host for today's episode as we try and catch up to Ethereum on its meteoric rise, breaking $3,500. Dogecoin following behind as everyone flocks to this meme coin as it tries to push towards a dollar. And ultimately, what's going on in the market with Bitcoin and all the other altcoins is we took a little bit of a dive earlier today. I'm going to break down a little bit as to what's going on behind the scenes. And then ultimately, I'm going to touch on a couple other cryptos I'm keeping my eye on, just based on the timing of this really being the fundamental start of alt season. We've seen Ethereum take off, and now it's just a matter of time before that trickles into the rest of the market. As always, if you have any other questions for me, please leave them down in the comments below. I do read every comment that's left. I did try and turn the sound up on my mic a little bit because apparently it was coming through a little bit quiet. I don't necessarily want to deafen anyone by blowing your eardrums out and having that be too loud. I know probably about 20 videos ago it was loud and I felt bad, so I just turned it down. So let's see if this is a little bit better, but please just keep the feedback coming. I'm obviously just thinking about trying to make that best as I can for you. And let's just go ahead and dive into what is going on. So, although Dogecoin isn't necessarily the main story of the day, it is a big one nonetheless. And the $70 billion meme coin market, Dogecoin skyrockets past $0.50. Doge market cap eats into Bitcoin dominance. Now, I put this first specifically to talk about Bitcoin dominance. When we look at altcoin season and what we've been preparing for, I mentioned that it was due to Bitcoin dominance falling. And we have these cycles that we go through when we look at altcoin season and Bitcoin dominance. The lower Bitcoin's dominance goes, the higher our altcoin season index gets. And when we crossed that line, which was back around like the end of March, I said, okay, we're breaking into altcoin season. And then we had essentially just a giant pain in the ass April, dealing with some market shakeouts, which I think were sorely necessary, although frustrating nonetheless. And we are still deep in that altcoin season right now with our indicators saying that we're right at a 94. So we're holding strong. It doesn't have to do with Doge fucking pumping. If anything, this has been building up for a long time. And I actually screenshotted from the app for CoinMarketCap this breakdown that shows this green line here. That is just the overall market cap of the cryptocurrency space, including Bitcoin and all the alts over the last 90 days. So we went from about $1.2 trillion to right around $2.3 trillion over the last 90 days. But this white line or this gray line here is actually tracking Bitcoin dominance. So it was way higher, up around like 60, 70%. And over the course of the last 90 days, we had begun to plummet. All the way down to currently this morning, it was at 45.57%. Now, if most people that were here in the last bull market run in 2017, we know that Bitcoin dominance dropped as low as about 35% at its absolute bottom. And that's when the altcoins really had their meteoric rise. So as Bitcoin continues to get hammered in these little dips, you see coins like Ethereum continue to take off, and in this case even Doge, even though it is a joke and people are chasing that 2x pump that are just getting in now, that's fine. It's just a signal for what's to come for the rest of altcoins. So if we go to the overall crypto space right now, we're sitting right around slightly over $2.2 trillion. So we did just take a recent hit. And Bitcoin actually dropped from right around $56,000 earlier today down to about a low of right around $53,000. Now, I said that this is no reason to fear. There's a reason why Bitcoin and Ethereum and some of these other coins get hammered with these big drops. And we know after watching it pop back up after last Friday and CME closing that there is a lot of price manipulation going on. You're not going to see that with Doge because none of these governments or institutions are interested in buying Dogecoin because they understand where the value is. So if every retail investor wants to rush in and spend $70 billion on Dogecoin, they will happily continue to buy Bitcoin, try and dump the market, shake other people out, and keep things going in that direction. But the start of altcoin season that we're really seeing here is, regardless of Bitcoin's volatility recently, Ethereum has still continued to pump almost directly through most of that dump and consolidation period that we had over the last 10 days as well. If we look at Ethereum, it has gone from April 20th at around $2,300 all the way up to its current price at $3,300. Its all-time high was right around $3,500. And I don't have my largest ETH position as I historically do, because I moved most of it to mid and small cap altcoins. I'm okay with that. I got so many messages from people saying, should I pull my this coin or that coin and move it back into ETH? It looks like it's running. Do not chase green candles. If you chose to put your money into another coin, you're either down or you're up significantly, but you believe that you're outperforming Ethereum, running it over to it now is not the best bet for you, because it is going to run out of steam. It is incredibly oversold on the RSI. And when that does start to drop or consolidate, even in the high 2000s, maybe low 3000s, a lot of those gains and that money will then flow into the big cap altcoins. Then it will flow into mid cap, low cap, micro cap, and so on as we get altcoin season underway. But if you are holding a ton of Ethereum, whether you have it staked or otherwise, congratulations. I know that pretty much from early February all the way to just about last week, it's been an incredibly frustrating time for Ethereum holders just due to that stall out. And it seemed like it would never end, but it looks like we are well on our way to breaking through to new all-time highs pretty frequently as we move through the next 2-3 months. Now, Vitalik, who, if you remember, is the founder of Ethereum, becomes the youngest self-made crypto billionaire as Ethereum crossed $3,000. And he's 27 years old. So congrats to him. That's exciting. Hopefully he can follow through on this EIP 1559, which is the update that is coming to Ethereum supposedly in July, if everything goes smoothly, where Ethereum will become essentially a deflationary asset, where this hard cap circulating supply, there is no max supply currently. So right now there's 115 million and change. Some of the earlier videos I was doing, and this channel isn't even that old, it had 114 million circulating. So Ethereum is constantly being generated, but in this case, with that new update to Ethereum, if all goes well, not only will it speed up all the transaction speeds and lower the fees, but it will also burn some Ethereum as you're using it on the network. So it should make Ethereum a deflationary asset, almost like Bitcoin, where there's a more fixed supply, or it is a little bit more finite. And that would continue to play into the narrative of its increasing value and price as well. And a lot of the institutions and trusts, not just counting Grayscale, which is the largest Bitcoin trust in the world currently, but a lot of other ETFs and holdings all around the world are buying a ton of Ethereum, more than any other altcoin, in preparation for these updates for Ethereum to continue to hold on to that number one spot. Keep in mind, despite its issues, I've constantly said they are being used for NFTs. They are being used on Visa's plan to roll out payment settlements on USDC. They're going to use the Ethereum network, and really most of DeFi originally was built on Ethereum, and a lot of it hasn't left yet to go to different chains. So if they can get their act together and continue to speed things up, it should be clear skies for them. So that's all exciting news for Ethereum. One other chain I'm going to mention before I talk about the new position I jumped into was Binance Coin. I mean, we talked about them being the big number 3 coin right now in the space, coming up Not necessarily on the heels of Ethereum, because right now their market cap is just slightly under $100 billion, although they did cross over that yesterday with an all-time high of $674. They're still at right around slightly under a fourth of the value of Ethereum's market cap. So they're keeping up somewhat, but the big thing that Binance Coin has in its favor is the total amount of trading volume on PancakeSwap and the Binance Smart Chain. They have been outdoing Ethereum in the number of transactions and the number of active users consistently over the past couple weeks, and that continues to grow. Now, Binance Coin, I've mentioned in my previous videos, has token burns, and that is due to CZ, or the CEO of Binance and the creator of Binance Coin, wanting to continue to burn BNB until their supply continues to drop all the way down to, I believe, the target goal is 100 million in total that will ever exist. And since it has so much utility on their platform and they continue to burn it, I will continue to hold my Binance Coin and my positions in BNB. And unlike Ethereum, which I had to sell predominantly due to the incredibly high fees on Uniswap that I was using to trade for a bunch of the small and mid-cap coins that I wanted that I couldn't access anywhere else, being in the United States, it's kind of like being in medieval crypto land sometimes. That's how it feels. But ultimately, I think BNB will continue to run to keep up with Ethereum. And it's not just BNB. Everything in the Binance system, including Venus, which I mentioned in the What Did I Buy during the dip video, they have their biggest burn in history upcoming. PancakeSwap is constantly doing token burns. It's like the Binance Smart Chain and ecosystem is just on fire. And I mean that literally, because every fucking coin that they have is just having burns left and right. So I'm going to continue to hold my position there as well. One other one I'm going to mention, I'll cover the new one I'm going to go into, but I did mention the ERSDL, or Unfederal Reserve, in the What Did I Buy during the dip video. And they are doing incredibly well still. Earlier today, they hit a new all-time high at $1.61. I believe when I covered them in my last video, they were at $1.14. And just a couple weeks ago when I purchased them, they were at about 60 cents. So everyone rushing in and buying Dogecoin at 57 cents, hoping that it can get to a $120 billion market cap so they can get a 40% gain on that. I think that there are better plays in different ways that you can position yourself that are a little bit more stable with a bigger upside. But, not financial advice. I'm not an oracle and I am not a fucking wizard. All I can do is talk about what I see and what I'm thinking in this space. Now, for one of the new positions I did get into after doing a little bit more digging, someone left a comment and they asked me about Noia, which that's their ticker, but they're known as Centropy. And they've been covered a bunch of different places. Different YouTubers have done videos on them. Sometimes it feels like people are shilling them depending on how they position it. But I never really dug much deeper. I saw that they wanted to be just like another blockchain that interconnected things on the internet and gave things access to and from one database to another. But after being asked about it on my channel and enough people posting about it on Twitter, I dug in a little bit. So here's what made my decision for me to jump in. And when I did purchase them, I bought them on Uniswap. And the fees on Uniswap have been a little bit lower. They're right around, on average for me, anywhere from like $30 to $50. Not ideal if you're new starting out in crypto, but if you are familiar with Uniswap, or if you did want to jump on, it's not a bad place to start. So for Syntropy, they have a hard supply cap of 1 billion, but they have 368 million currently in circulation. They're relatively new compared to some of the other tokens that are out. They were first released back in right around August, July of 2019. So, I mean, they're not super old, like last bull cycle old, so we don't get to see any of that previous data. But right around the altcoin season of last summer, they did get a little bit of traction. They about 14x. They went from about a penny all the way up to about 10 cents, a little bit higher than that. Had some cool off, and then these bumps up. So these waves upward, all the way up to, I believe their previous all-time high was right around 82 cents. So about a fourth higher than they are now. But let's talk about what they do and why I think that what they have coming up in their roadmap is a little bit more important than what we can see historically for them. So what is Syntropy? So Centropy transforms the public internet into a secure and user-centric internet where encryption and performance are built in and automatically enabled to anyone and anything connected. The Noia token launched January 5th, 2020, while Syntropy Net was originally founded in 2017. So their token didn't go live until years after their net was first founded. The technology itself is compatible with the current internet and allows for the complete utilization of resources. Its main goal is to remove any limitations while ensuring security and optimization as a starting point with greater scalability potential for future technologies. Traffic on Centropy is routed through what they refer to as DARP, which is a distributed autonomous routing protocol. This blockchain system is what facilitates traffic through the Noia token and reward node operators for the network contributions. So just what the token does is it helps this program and internet run, and it helps with all the applications. So it sounds very vague to me at first because I looked into them in the past. I'm like, okay, so you're just connecting the internet, securing things, enabling new technologies, maybe new cryptos, new networks to configure themselves to the existing internet. A couple other chains are already attempting to do that, and some are even trying to replace the internet. But I see where the first one that can be successful here, probably any competitors that are attempting to do it, could have room to run. But with Centropy, they actually just were doing test runs with Starlink, which is Elon Musk's satellite company. So that's where a lot of the interest and everything else sparked back up, that they were running that DARP node with SpaceX and Starlink, testing it out. So they obviously have some connections to these larger companies in larger, capital groups that can come in and give them a little bit more room to run and a little bit of a larger platform to test these things out. And I saw that they just added a couple new strategic advisory board members. So Sean Hackle, so he's a partner of Microsoft, former senior vice president at Verizon. And then Roman Pasewicz, former chief product officer at AT&T. So you have people that are familiar with very large networks, whether that be through Microsoft, Verizon, or AT&T, and how they operate and scale to get whatever service or connectivity needs to be provided to the people. How can we get from point A to point B? So all of that, in my eyes, is incredibly exciting. And they had a lot of different roadmap items coming up over the next 2 months, which, again, for me, I look at, okay, it's not just about the cost of the coin, the tokenomics, but show me utility. Show me how this can be used in practice. And if it's not, how can we get it to more people? So what they're doing is they're doing a 60 days of growth focus. So they said time to grow, node program, Noia staking. So they're adding staking, which is what I do for several other cryptos where you put it in to help validate and secure the network. They are also rolling out Windows and Mac applications for Syntropy. They're doing a VPN launch, as well as a series of other events. So for me, my hold time for them is more or less for the duration of altcoin season, whether that be for another 4 weeks to 8 weeks. I want to see how they perform with these new updates, with these new board members, with these new partnerships, and what becomes of their next steps. So Just something I wanted to point out for everyone. Some things that I was looking at, and again, for me, it's always just going to come back to utility. Now, two other big cap coins, because we expect after Ethereum corrects, big caps are going to be absorbing the next amount of money within the crypto space. Now, I think Chainlink, it looks like it's about ready to run. I already did a separate video on them, and I usually, it goes without saying, I don't need to cover any news on them. They're just consistent performers, as well as Litecoin. Although I said that I do not like Litecoin, I think that they have less utility when it comes to store of value or privacy or anything that they're supposed to do than other coins that are already available. But it looks like they're ready to take that possible next leg up to break the last bull run all-time highs of around $420 that they had. So I'm not going to talk about anything with them in further detail, but I did want to mention two things about one, XRP, and then a little bit of news about Cardano. So first of all, XRP came out super explosive over the course of the last month in change. Really, we've all been on the edge of our seats watching the lawsuit unfold with the SEC. I haven't gone into great length or detail on that on the channel. As you know, I'm in the United States. There's not really many ways for myself to access them aside from a peg version. So I wouldn't imagine that most of my friends or family that I was first making this channel for to help them with would be able to go and purchase it or really understand what I was talking about when it came to XRP. But for those of you that are familiar with it, they have been coming out really strong against the SEC in these lawsuits, and they, in my opinion, have been winning. Now, as they get cleared and people are pushing for them to be relisted on exchanges in the United States, they just went forward and added a new member to this legal fight and to their board. And it will be very interesting for you to see who that is. So it's actually Rosie Rios, who is the 43rd Treasurer of the United States, will join the board of directors for Ripple, which is the company that created and then sold XRP, which is their native cryptocurrency. So Ripple, the SEC has charged Ripple and two of its executives with conducting an illegal securities offering. So it never really had anything to do with something nefarious going on with the cryptocurrency in general, XRP. It had to do with how Ripple was originally selling it at the beginning, which that's its own can of worms I'm not really going to get into. But what you're going to find is when you look back historically in any of these big legal battles, any of these top financial aids that actually work in centralized finance, they have a funny way of winding up in cryptocurrency after they leave their appointed positions, probably because they understand, holy fuck, this is going to be the entire future landscape of finance and the internet and everything else as we know it. I need to throw my hat in the ring and be a part of it. So with that additional backing through this legal fight and everything else, I think that they're going to continue to come out on top. I think that they probably are not far away from breaking their previous all-time highs, which if I think back was right around, I think $3.87, something along those lines. Let me see if I can pull it over and see. Yeah, it was right around 359, at least on CoinMarketCap. I think with altcoin season, they should be pushing close to that. Barring any other larger corrections or if Bitcoin does something absolutely absurd, or if the U.S. economy and stock market crashes altogether. But again, not a fucking wizard. Can't call that. And then the final piece of news is more or less about Cardano, and it's going to be coming right over top of what I talked about 2 videos ago, which it was mentioning the new partnership with the Ministry of Education in Ethiopia and onboarding 5 million students and teachers from 3,500 schools onto the Cardano network in ID validation system. So they had in between then and my last video, which I was talking more about what I bought during the dip, a few other major announcements as well. And I think that this is going to play well for Cardano as we move into the real busy point of altcoin season. And they all have to do with the continent of Africa. So separately, if we look at who is using Bitcoin for peer-to-peer trading volume the most, it's Africa. And that has to do with the fact that they do not really have a strong central banking infrastructure. And although we can sit here in our privileged position in the United States and say, oh, well, this is, we should make it illegal and you have to use the bank. Okay, well, I think that's bullshit, but, you can make your point. In Africa, what are they going to say? No, shut it down so they can do nothing and have nothing. There isn't really a counterpoint to it, which is why I like Cardano starting out there. I think not only can they make the most impact for those communities, but the opportunity is obviously best where there is no banking infrastructure or old large corruption to even compete with. So the first announcement that came out again from, if you remember, Input Output Hong Kong or IOHK is the business side of the Cardano Foundation. But their next announcement was to bank the unbanked, we first need to connect the unconnected. We're partnering with World Mobile Team to build a new mobile network starting in Tanzania. So Tanzania, another country in Africa. So they're putting out an entire mobile network. So we have an ID validation system in Ethiopia, and Cardano is going to be used for a new mobile network in Tanzania. So if you can start to piece these things together, cryptocurrency isn't just used for transactions. It's not just digital money, and it's not just all the great things that come along with being decentralized and immutable and permissionless and incorruptible, but it can be used in almost every industry or enterprise or corner of our society to connect people and to see these different projects through to fruition. So that's just going to be far more use case for Cardano, and it makes me excited to hold a significant amount. They're my second largest holding behind Bitcoin, and I'm still happy to be there, even though they're not pumping like Ethereum. I don't chase green candles, and I'm just going based off of the research that I do. And then you had a memorandum of understanding signed between IOHK and the government of the country of Georgia as well, preparing for some more partnerships in that country, along with all the other countries throughout Africa and that region that Cardano's meeting with. So it definitely makes me excited. And if you don't have a position in Cardano, I think that would also be a wise move to make. But the same with, XRP, Chainlink, BNB, Venus, PancakeSwap. I think they're all good plays in my non-financial advisor opinion. And if you are looking at the market and you see it correct down and you're like, oh God, it's a bear market, it's not. And it wasn't the last time, and it isn't going to be this time. Just because someone says, oh, this one technical thing, doesn't fucking matter. All of the exchanges are having mass amounts of Ethereum and Bitcoin leave currently. Just because the price on the exchange does not reflect that does not mean that everyone is selling it, because they aren't. We are at all-time lows for how much is available for people. They are buying it behind the scenes. They are dumping the price. People are selling and they're buying theirs as well. So all things to keep in mind. I feel like on this channel, we've done a pretty good job of talking about those things and covering those different angles so that everyone understands, oh, okay, so the price doesn't mean that everyone is just selling and panicking. Well, no. The price only shows on the exchanges what people are willing to buy or sell it for. The actual big fish that are buying it are doing it off of the exchanges because they want to buy more for cheaper. And if they went on the exchange and bought billions of dollars worth of it, then the price shoots up, they're going to pay more, and then everyone else FOMOs in. So just keep those things in mind as we go through this, and ultimately any questions that you have, any comments, any concerns, please leave them down below. Drop a like on the video. And really, we're still kind of in this holding pattern, waiting for everything to take off. But I wanted to cover these couple price items and pieces of news just to keep bringing you content for anyone that's sitting around wondering what the fuck's going on. And I am honored that you come and watch this channel and spend some time on Viva La Coin with me. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.